Hi everyone, happy Sunday. Here is the solutions to the homework exercise that you've hopefully just completed that I would like you to have a look over yourself and see if you can mark it. Okay, question 1 was multiply out and simplify 2x minus 5, and then another bracket was 3x squared minus x plus 2. So multiplying out brackets, first term times first term there would give you 6x cubed. 2x times minus x minus 2x squared. 2x times the plus 2 plus 4x. Alright, then multiplying out the minus 5 times that would give you minus 15x squared. Minus 5 times the minus x there would be plus 5x. And minus 5 times the plus 2 would be minus 10. And if you had enough space, you can set that out right in a row. Some people set it out in this way anyway, just so they can tidy up things a bit easier. In your last line, you've got 6x cubed, minus 2x squared, and then you're taking away 15x squared as well. So overall, that's minus 17x squared. You're adding on 9x, 4x and 5x, and you're taking away the 10 at the end. And that's question 1. Now, in terms of marks, you get 1 mark for the first 3 terms, you get 1 mark for the second 3 terms, and all the signs being right. And then you get the 3rd mark for your answer simplified. So that's out of 3. 3 out of 3 if you got it all right. If you made any mistakes with the signs, but then you still simplified right, you can get 2 out of 3. Just be careful. Right, question 2 had a part A and part B. Part A, it had factorise 6x squared plus 3xy. So your rules of factorising is number 1, look for a common factor. Number 2, look for a difference of 2 squares. And number 3, factorise any remaining trinomial you have. So in this expression here, your common factor, your highest common factor, numbers wise would be 3, because 3 goes into both terms. And also x's go into both terms. So your highest common factor would be 3x, bracket 2x, because that's what 3x times 2x would give you 6x squared. And then plus y, because 3x times y would give you 3xy. If you multiplied that out, you'd get the same answer as you started. Part B, you've got 2x squared minus 7x plus 5. So, checking it out, is there a common factor? No, because 2, 7 and 5 is no number that goes into each thing. X is in those terms, but not in that one, so there's no common factor x. Is there a difference of 2 squares? So is there 2 squares that have got a subtract in the middle, like x squared minus 9 or something? No. So we're left with a trinomial. To factorise the trinomial, you need 2 sets of brackets. The first things multiply to give you the first thing, the last things get multiplied to give you the last thing. And when you multiply out, you should end up with the middle term minus 7x. It's a bit like solving a puzzle, this. To make 2x squared, the only way you can do it is with a 2x and an x. You could add that round the other way in the brackets, but 2x and x. To make 5, you could have 5 and 1. So the only chances to make 5 is 5 and 1, or 1 and 5. Now, my check is to do smiles, because when you multiply out, these smiles, if you like, should multiply out and then tidy up to give you minus 7x. If I put a 5 there, then 5 times 2x would give me 10x, and 1 times x would give me x. 10x and x, I don't think I can make that. But if I put a 5 there, and a 1 there, that's minus 5, so these two things need to multiply to give me, so that's a positive 5, so these two things need to multiply to give me positive 5. So if I put a minus in both brackets, minus 5 times minus 1 gives me plus 5, and that smile gives me minus 5x, and that smile gives me minus 2x, and minus 5x minus 2x gives me minus 7x. If you multiplied out those brackets, would you get back to where you started? Yes. So, in terms of marks here, it's 1 mark for the common factor, part A. And for part B, and this is for your own marking sake, if you've got 2x, x, 5 and 1 in the brackets, you'd get 1 mark. And if you had them in the right brackets with the right signs, it would be another mark. So altogether that question's out of 3. That's question 2. Okay, question 3. Question 3 all in is worth 5 marks. So for 3A, you've got to look at your triangle. Your triangle is PQR QR, and you've got the sides 13.2, 10.7 and 12.5. Now you have to work out the angle PQR. So the angle PQR is the angle with Q at the middle. So that's the angle that you've got to find out for part A. In the guide that I've got in the other video that's on the channel, you'll notice that if you try to use sine rule here, you wouldn't be able to make any full fractions up because you don't have any other angles. So we're finding an angle. Sine rule's not going to work, so it's the cosine rule. Now in your formula list, the cosine rule for an angle is cos A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc. That's what it will look like in your formula list. Here we're dealing with p, q's and r's. We want to find the angle at q. So when your formula was cos A equals stuff, the little a went at the end. So this is going to equal the other letters added together squared, take away the letter that goes along with the angle at the end, over 2PR. Alright, so it's your cosine rule, but with the new letters, if you like, to make things easier. So cos Q equals, with little p would be 10.7, square it, plus little r would be 12.5, square it, and then take away little r, which would be, sorry, little q, which would be 13.2 squared. All over 2 times 10.7 times 12.5. Now to get the angle Q, we need to, because we've got cos Q here, to get Q we need to do cos to the minus 1 of basically everything that's in that fraction. If you've not got a Casio calculator, do the top line and do the bottom line separately, so you've got just a simple fraction with numbers, and then cos minus 1 of that. Casio calculator, you can put that whole fraction into the cos minus 1 bracket. If you do it carefully, the angle you get is around about 69 degrees. Rounded to the nearest degree there would be fine. If you got 68.85, stuff like that, then that would be fine. Okay, so that's 3A. For 3B, which I'll try and squeeze in just at the side here, just to give myself more space, it's the area of a triangle. The only formula I've got for area of a triangle is area equals a half AB sine C. Area equals a half AB sine C is in your formula list. Now we're dealing with P, Q and R here. The angle that we now know is this one. So it's a half AB sine C. We know Q. So if it's normally a half AB sine C, the other letters, P and R, are the ones that are going to be small. So it's a half PR sine Q. So it's just changing around the AB and C. So it's a half times 10.7's little p, times 12.5's little r, and then times sine of the angle you've just found, which is 69. And if you do that carefully in your calculator, the answer you get is approximately 62.4, and it'll be meters squared. So that's the area of a triangle down there at the bottom. Now in terms of marks, you get 1 mark for identifying the cosine rule, subbing in all the values and doing cos to minus 1 and getting an answer 69. That's your first 3 marks. So using the cosine rule, putting something in, getting the cos to minus 1 of that stuff in the brackets, 69. 4th mark is for subbing in to the area formula, and the 5th mark is for the answer. So it's out of 5. Alright, question 3. Okay, question 4. In question 4, you're given a kind of sector part of a circle, but you're told its arc length is 21.95, and you've got to work out the angle in the sector. So, because it mentions arc length equals angle over 360 times pi d. That's your arc length formula. So then you need to sub in the information that you've got. You know the arc length is 21.95. The angle is x over 360 times pi times the diameter. Now I think in the question it mentions that the radius is 5. So the diameter therefore would be double that, which is 10. To work back to what x is, to get x on its own, move the divide 360 over, so it's 21.95. Divide times 360. Trying to make a mistake there. And you move the pi over, and the times 10 over as divide by pi and divide by 10. And so you've now got x on its own. So you times the 360 up, because it's divide. You divide the pi and you divide the 10 over, because they're times them. Oops. And if you do that calculation, then your answer is 251.5 degrees. So that's question 4. It's worth 3 marks. 1 for having the formula with some numbers subbed in. The second for starting to change your subject to x, just to get x on its own. And the third to get the answer. So that one's out of 3. Okay, question 5. Question 5 was the straight line question. Now, it was a bit cheeky on this one, putting this in the homework, but the reason why I did is because in the scatter graph topic within statistics, you looked at the straight line, so the equation of a straight line and how to find one, because you need to do that to get the line of best fit in a scatter graph. So this is work that we'll cover on S4 as well, but it was just to remind you, if you've got a diagram with an x and y axis, the line that was going through it had points -2, 4, and 1, 3 in it, and you had to get the equation of that line. So as I mentioned in the guide, you've got the two options: y equals mx plus c, or y minus b equals m bracket x take away a. Now the y equals mx plus c only works if you know exactly where that crosses, and we don't. So the equation we need to write down is y minus b equals m bracket x take away a. Now the first thing we need to work out is the gradient, m. M is y2 take away y1 over x2 take away x1. So it's 3 minus 4 over 1 take away minus 2. That would be minus 1 on the top and 3 on the bottom, because 1 take away negative 2 is 3. 2 negatives would make the plus. In the equation, you've still got to get your a and your b. You just choose one of the points to be your a and your b, and try and choose the easier point. So that's probably the easier point because there's no negatives in it. In the equation, let's just mark off my gradient there. We've got y take away 3 equals, the gradient's minus 1 over 3, x take away 1. Alright, so we're at this point, I need my brackets around my x take away 1. And I want to basically multiply out the brackets. So it's minus a third x. And then minus times minus gives you plus a third. And I need to add that 3 across, so it would be y equals minus a third x. Add the 3 onto the third there, so I'm getting basically 3 and a third. So you can write plus 3 and a third, which is also known as 10 over 3. And that's the answer. Now, if you get to this point, you can also times everything through by 3, so that your answer would look like 3y equals minus x plus 10 once you tied it all up. And that answer is also good for your third mark. So this is out of 3 marks, this question. The first mark is for your gradient. The second mark is for substituting and get this line here in your formula. You could have y minus 4 equals negative a third x plus 2 if you used that point. So that's the second mark, and the third mark is for getting to this form or this form. Either of those two things is right for the third mark. So that's out of 3. Okay. Right, question 6 is the volume of a cone. And the volume of the cone formula that you have in your formula list is V cone equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So that's your formula. In this question, your radius is 6, so it's 1/3 times pi times 6 squared, and the height of the thing is 18. So all very straightforward in terms of this question, no tricks to it. Put that into your calculator and you get an answer about 678.6. Now it does say round to 2 significant figures. So first significant figure, second significant figure, the 8 rounds that up. So 678.6 would be closest to 680 to 2 significant figures, and that would be centimetres cubed. So another 3 mark question, 1 for subbing into the formula, 1 for the answer, 1 for rounding it to 2 significant figures. Out of 3 marks. Okay. Right, question 7. In question 7, you're told that you've got savings, you want to put it into a bank with an interest rate of 4%. Basically that means that your money is going to grow without you having to touch it. you've got £700 to start with, and it goes up 4% each year for 3 years. If it goes up 4%, that means your 100% is changing into 104%. As a decimal, 100% is like 1, because 50% is like 0.5. 104% is 1.04. Basically put your 0.2 back into the number. And because we're doing it for 3 years with power to 3, the answer you get is £787 and 40 pence if you round it to the nearest penny. And that's it. 1 mark for the 1.04, 1 mark for times and through with the power, and 1 mark for the answer. 3 marks. Right, question 8, nearly done. In question 8, you're told that after a pay rise, you're now getting £9.54 an hour. So that's a 6% pay rise. You've got you now £9.54 an hour. So that means whatever you were getting before, you're now getting an extra 6%. So you're getting 106% of what you used to have, because you added 6% on, and that's £9.54. So if you have to work out what you got before that, you want to work out what 100% was. So basically, to get 100%, you have to divide your 9.54 by 106 to work out what 1% is, and then times by 100. So 9.54 divide 106 times 100. Do that carefully, and the answer you get is exactly £9. You can put 9.00 if you like. So 1 mark for 106% equals that. 1 mark for your working, 1 mark for your answer. 3 marks. Right, question 9. In question 9, we've got multiplying fractions here. The fractions are 2 4/7 times 28 over 45. Now, first mark here is just for changing to top heavy for the first fraction. 2 4/7 with 2 times 7, 14 add 4 is 18 over 7. And we've got it times by 28 over 45. Okay, so you get your first mark there. Now, this question is a bit tougher than your normal non-calculator version fraction questions, because the numbers are going to be quite big. If you just times them across, you end up with 504 over 315. Now, that fraction will simplify down to 8 over 5. And because this is calculator or non-calculator, you get your 2 marks there, 2 out of 2. Just to show you, this is more for applications I'm asked, thinking ahead for next year, how to make this a bit easier for yourself. Because the 7 times table hits 7 and 28, that once and that 4 times, we can put 1 and 4 in the fractions. And because your 9 times table goes into that twice and that 5 times, we can simplify the fraction down so that we end up with 8 over 5. So that's a technique that you can use that we'll go over more before we get to applications or maths prep. But in terms of what we're doing there, 2 out of 2 is your mark for that question. Alright, 8 over 5. Right, last question, question 10. In this last question, folks, it's indices. So it's p to the power of 5 times 8p over 6p, what's these? 6p to the power of 9. Now, to start with, just do what's on the top line, p to the power of 5 times 8p. Numbers and letters were squished together, so it's 8p, and the power was 5 in the first one, times the p takes it up a power to 6. Bottom line stays the same. Alright, then you're tidying up your answer. 8 over 6, 2 times table hits 8 and 6. Goes into 8 4 times, and into 6 3 times. If you've got 6 p's multiplying together on the top and 9 p's multiplying together on the bottom, cancel 6 to the top, cancel 6 to the bottom, and you'll be left with p to the power of 3 on the bottom. Other way of doing that one is if you've got 8p to the power of 6 over 6p to the power of 9, you've got 4 over 3 with your fraction, and you've got the power of p to the minus 3. Okay, and then your negative power would go in the bottom line, so you get 4 over 3p to the power of 3. Either way, you're getting 2 marks here, 1 for your first step, 1 for your answer. 2 out of 2. So altogether, folks, the homework was out of 30 marks. You give yourself a mark out of 30, please. Let us know in the next few weeks if you have any other questions, and we'll do our best to answer. And if I need to do any more videos, I will, to help you. Thank you. Bye.